Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another movie review. Today I am doing John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. I saw this movie a few days ago. Now just a heads up, this is going to be a spoiler review just because I want to talk about the movie. And I'm going to try to get as much of the plot out of my head that I can remember, because again, I saw this movie a few days ago. But I'm excited to talk about it. I saw the first two John Wick movies. My channel did not exist before those movies came out, so I did not do reviews on them. But I really enjoyed them. They're really dope. Changed the action movie genre type of thing, in my opinion. And Keanu Reeves kicks ass in both of them. And this movie is just as good as the other ones. I'll just say it straight off. But yes, this is going to be a spoiler review of John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. And if you do want to check out other reviews that I have done, please go ahead. They're on my channel. I did an Endgame review with my good friend Nick recently. It's up there. It's a spoiler review. Also, like, subscribe, and share this. I'd really much appreciate it. But yes, John Wick Chapter 3 picks up right after the events of John Wick Chapter 2. And I gotta say, I loved the way John Wick Chapter 2 ended. And I loved the way that movie kind of operated, because the first movie was more like a revenge story for his dog type of thing, and that was kind of the assassin world thing were kind of sprinkled on top. The second movie delves right into that world. The bad guy, I can't remember his name. He comes to John Wick. He owes him a debt. We establish more of the rules and stuff like that. And John Wick at the end breaks the number one rule of the hotel. I think you can't conduct business there, and he kills. And he kills in the hotel, and now he's got a bounty on his head. And so Ian McShane's character Winston gives them an hour to, I don't know what. But yes, I just love how that movie ended, like the shots they use and everything, because I loved how you could see John Wick running through Central Park, and everybody on their phones are getting text messages saying, there's a bounty on this guy's head in an hour, you can claim it if you want. And it's just everybody's looking at him. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of was like a horror type movie thing. It's kind of chilling. It was like, oh, everybody in New York seems like they are after him. There's a lot of people in New York. So in my head, I was like, how the hell is he going to get out of this? He's John Wick. He can kick ass. But can he take on everybody? Don't know. So this movie, like I said, John Wick Chapter 3 picks up right after the events of John Wick Chapter 2. He's running, he's injured, he's got to figure out a plan of what to do. Now, let's talk about the story first. The story, I thought, was dope. It was dope, because I was like, I had theories in my head. I was like, what's the plan here, John? Like, what are you going to do? And one of the theories I had was that I guess you got to take out the whole assassin world, take out the whole establishment if you want to survive. And the movie kind of operates like that, in a little bit. His whole plan was that he wanted to go to the people up top, and he wanted to kind of ask how he can redeem himself. We'll get there. But that was the whole plan. So the whole movie is the journey to get there. And then the third act goes on from there. So the story, for majority, I thought was dope. With the story, the only negative I have with this movie is that at certain points, towards like the middle, it kind of does slow down for me, and I'm just kind of like, don't really know what we're doing here, don't really know much about you, and it basically where after, we'll get to the performance, but after Halle Berry kind of leaves John Wick in the desert, and now he has to walk. And then he meets somebody who's like, "Oh, you gotta kill Winston to kind of redeem yourself." That part kind of slowed it down for me, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I wasn't really feeling that part." But when we come for John Wick movies, we come for the action set pieces, and every movie for me, they have been getting better and better. They do new things every time. I think in the first movie, they did a lot of stuff with guns, headshots. And I think in this movie, I don't remember if the second one had a lot of knife fights, but this movie has a lot of hand-to-hand and knife combat things. It has a lot of guns and headshots and what have you, not what John Wick always has. But surprisingly to me, it had a lot of stuff to do with knives. And I mean, that opening sequence, literally, the movie picks up. The first 20 minutes is just how you expect. You know, the whole of New York is after him. Non-stop. I mean, everybody is on this guy's back. You don't get a second to breathe for a second. You're just like, the movie starts, there's tension starting to build up. The woman is counting down how much time John Wick has left. And then, boom, everybody's after him. I mean, I went with my friend, and he told me there was a basketball player, the tall, big guy in the beginning. Apparently, he's an NBA player. He got murdered by a book straight off the gate, which is funny because John Wick had an hour, and I was like, and that more shows to me that showed how like respected everybody is in the assassin world, because they were like, okay, give him an hour. Just like, I was thinking to myself, like, why won't you kill him now? And, you know, no one's going to know the difference between an hour and now. But everybody was respecting that. When that guy came and he was like, no one's going to know the difference. And he did attack him and got murdered by a book. That was dope. And then John Wick is now running around fighting with knives, throwing axes at people's heads. And oh my god, the first 20 minutes of this movie are like my favorite action set pieces there are. I love the stuff that he does with the horse, which I thought was very kind of comedic in a way, but kind of very clever. He was slapping the horse's back. He was kind of covering himself behind a horse. He would slap a horse's back, so it would kick the guy who is behind the horse. And I loved how he used the horse there. Then he rode the horse, killed somebody there. It was all like, it was just insane. These action set pieces were just like non-stop insane. And then we go to Morocco, and there again, insane. There, I'll slow down the Morocco part because there's a specific thing I want to talk about that. And the third act, this movie just keeps on going, just non-stop action. But like I did say in the beginning, there is a point of the story where you get so much action and then it does slow down for me. I don't know, I just didn't really feel that break, that slow down. Just mainly because I know this guy who he met in the desert was like the high table, or whatever they call them. But like, I didn't care. I was like, I guess he does lose John Wick does lose a finger for that. But yes, that first 20 minutes was just beautiful. It was amazing. I loved, like I said, I loved the stuff that he did with the horses. Literally, I was sitting next to one of my other friends, and I don't usually do this at movie theaters, but people were taking some serious hits in the first 20 minutes. I was going like this, and my friend was like, dude, why are you doing that? Why are you looking away? Like when the hits were like when somebody's about to get a knife thrown in his head, just as the knife's about to go, I was like, oh no. And my friend was like, why are you doing this? I was like, I don't know, but this seems very brutal. And it was really dope. I mean, John Wick takes another level here. Now let's talk about the performances. Keanu Reeves. Awesome. I mean, this is probably like his best franchise, right, that he has done. Again, he's amazing. You can see how much work he put in. You can see that it's him. Apparently he does 90% of the stunts here. I mean, it's understandable. I don't think he does all the stunts, but apparently he said he does 90% of his stunts, I think. And you could definitely see that. You can see how much that helps the director, which we got to talk about. The director, Chad Stahelski. Apparently he was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in The Matrix, but now he's a director. And I love the way, from the first John Wick to the second John Wick to the third John Wick, he stayed. In the first John Wick, he did a duo, right, with David Leitch, who directed Deadpool 2, but David Leitch apparently left, he clearly left the John Wick franchise after the first movie. But oh my god, like the direction of it, the wide shots, none of that shaky cam or close up and cuts between fights. So you get stunt doubles switching with the actors, so you get, it's so shaky. And I personally, I absolutely hate the shaky cam fight sequences. I get lost in them. But when the director pulls back and there's one shot things and like you can see it's stable, I love that. The directing in this movie, the cinematography was amazing. The way they choreographed the scenes, they really work hard on them. And I think a lot of action movies need to take a beat from this movie. They need to, I want action movies to be like this. And I mean that a lot of it has to do with Keanu Reeves doing his own stunts. When he's taking the hits, like I said, there's no cuts, shaky cam. It's all wide shot, so you don't really. I mean, probably a few times, there's a stunt double in there, but you can clearly see that it's him doing it. There's no switching stunt double and him type of thing. He's really taking the hits. And again, he doesn't say a lot of things in this movie. He says when he needs to say, this is my plan to get out. But it's all about the action, and Keanu Reeves really delivers again. And then again, there's not a lot of people in this cast. I mean, this isn't like Oscar level acting, but this is action level, fantastic acting. And the other person, the big star that they added to this movie was Halle Berry, which, I mean, she's not in this movie a lot, as much as I at least thought she would be, but she was dope. She had 2 dogs with her, and I loved the combos that she was doing with them. I think Keanu Reeves said she trained like 6 months with them, and they seem very vicious dogs. And again, the wide shots and kind of letting you see what's happening, you can see that these dogs are actually kind of doing it. My favorite action thing from this movie was when she called for the dog in the Morocco sequence, and she kind of like bent down and let the dog jump on her and jump up the wall and bite the guy that was above her. I was like, oh, that's dope. What? These combos are just insane with the dogs. And that Morocco sequence was insane, and it was a lot to take in. I loved it. I did feel like it was just a tiny bit too long. I was like, cool, like we're getting these headshots that we know these two can do, and we're getting these sick, the dog combos and stuff, and I was like, that's dope. But sometimes I was like, I don't really know. It feels just a bit too long. What I love about the John Wick 2 is that like they did this like 4 or 5 times where he is like shooting at someone and he's like, and he has to reload right in front of them while they're like catching their breath, and you just like kill them again. And I was like, that's dope. The way this action movie is set up, it's all dope. These two are the stars of the movie. Ian McShane's character Winston does what he does. He's the classy guy. He's the one running the hotel. He doesn't get his hands dirty. You can clearly see that when he's sitting in the safe and letting everybody else run the wave. What I gotta say about the concierge, right? That's how you pronounce it. He's dope. He has a dope voice. I don't know if it's because he has much more lines in this movie than he did in the past 2 movies, but in that 3rd act when he was talking, he had an accent which I didn't. Maybe it's because I haven't seen John Wick 2 or 1. Maybe because I didn't rewatch them before I saw this movie, and it's been like maybe a year since I saw John Wick 2. I was like, I turned to my friend, and I was like, has he always had an accent in this movie? And I mean, yeah, I guess he did. And the other one is Zero. That's what he says his character name is. Wow, he was dope. He was more comedic than I thought he would be, and that's what I love. I mean, he was just there to collect the bounty, and I love the dialogue these assassins have between each other in that 3rd act. When there's 2 of them, they both have knives, and they're like, "It's an honor to fight with you, John," and they're really going at it. And then they don't kill him straight away. They let him get back up. They fight with him. He then eventually knocks them down, and he lets them live. And that just shows the respect. They just wanna fight. John understands that he broke the rules, and that's how I was looking at this movie. I was like, are they really bad guys? I mean, they're just doing what they have to do because John broke the rules, really. But you're rooting for John because he's the main character. But then you have their leader. His name is Zero. He was the guy in the sushi place. He was dope. He held his own at the. I mean, no, he didn't. He made John Wick hold his own at the end because he really gave him a run for his money. His action scenes were dope. I love the whole ninja thing that they did in the middle of the movie, where they had to pretty much punish the people that were helping John Wick. That was dope. Like I said, he was dope. He was more comedic than I thought in the 3rd act, because in the first 2 acts, when he showed up, I was like, I was like, oh yeah, he's dope. Because all the action stuff they did, but he was more comedic in the 3rd act, which I love. I love when he's sitting there and he's like, "You just got to give me a second. I'll catch up with you." And John turns to her and says, "No, you won't." And what I love about that fight scene too, leading to that, is that he does his whole ninja thing to John, and then John switches it on him. He kind of adapts his fighting technique to him, and he switches it up on him. And that's how he ultimately wins the fight. And I mean, I think everybody in this movie just was awesome. Lawrence Fishburne was in this movie. He didn't really have much to do. I would love to see him get some action scenes in the fourth John Wick movie, which we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I just gotta say, like, the action set pieces were just dope. The story was dope. Keanu Reeves is dope. Like, this movie is awesome. I think the John Wick franchise just gets better and better and better and better. And like, I love how they experiment. The all three movies, they experiment. They do something new. They do new kind of. In this movie, he has horses. By the way, also talking about the cinematography and the way they shoot these action scenes. The bridge scene where he's on the bikes and he has assassins coming after him. We saw that in the trailer too. That was dope, the way it was shot, because it looks like they actually did it. I mean, I don't know how much CGI is in this movie, but it looks like they actually did this stuff. And then the Continental, the third act scene, when when the guys who are coming after him have gear on, he's like shooting them to slow them down, and he gets up close to them and headshot or shoots under their masks. Oh, also what I love is that I love how technical this movie. This movie's smart with what it does. Because when John Wick and that one, just some random guy, fall into the pool, into that little pool, John gets some space between him because that guy starts shooting, but the water slows down the bullets, so they never reach John. It's a small pool, anyways. But so then John goes up close to him and boom, under the mask. I love that. I love when they're like, we need some heavier guns. Take shotguns. Shotguns can go apparently through the armor. I mean, I don't know technical stuff, but I mean, like, I love the technical stuff. These guys have gear on. These gear are protecting them, so you gotta get in close and hit him hard. 1 second. But I'm super psyched we're getting John Wick 4 because I feel like sometimes when franchises do a bunch of things, do several movies, I'm like, okay, you're kind of slowing down in the quality that you have. But John Wick just gets better and better and better and better. John Wick Chapter 3 is probably my favorite John Wick out of all three. Just because the action set pieces and that first like 20-30 minutes is just phenomenal. The whole movie is amazing, but that first 20-30 minutes was just amazing. And I mean, they get better and better and better. They all are amazing. But I think, the story, the only negative that I have is that in the middle of the story of the whole desert thing, it does kind of slow down, and I'm just like not caring about who's he talking to or what's happening here. But then it picks up right after, right when he goes to New York, gets off the plane, he's in the train station, boom, action, again, let's go. And it gets kind of weird too, because people die on the streets in this movie, and it seems like a lot of people just don't care. I don't really know how to feel about that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, my opinion, if I had to give a grade, gets an A. It's an awesome film. Go see it. Dope action movie. Can't wait for John Wick Chapter 4. I'm happy that we're getting Chapter 4. After seeing this, I was like, bring on Chapter 4. I mean, looks like Keanu Reeves at 54 can still do it. I want to see... thought about it the other day. I want to see him and Tom Cruise do an action movie, but not like a Mission Impossible meets a John Wick, not like a crossover. I want to see them do like their own like action movie, because everybody in this movie who does the action sequences are in their 50s. Literally everybody. Halle Berry, I believe, is Halle Berry in her 50s? Let's see for a second. Halle Berry is in her 50s. Keanu Reeves in his 50s. The guy who plays Zero is in his 50s, and they're all doing it. They're all doing it, no problem. And that's and I feel like a lot of people can take stuff from Chad Stahelski and how he directs the movies, the wide shots, giving freedom. Then again, that's all done through Keanu Reeves doing most of the stunts. And again, John Wick is an A, dope movie. This franchise just keeps getting better and better and better. It's dope. Go see it. And thank you guys for watching the spoiler talk for John Wick Chapter 3. like, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys later.